Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fabulous Friday. Welcome back to Just Keep Parenting. Thank you for joining in. It's going to be a quick one today, but we're just talking a little bit more about Becky Bailey's book on how to turn conflict into cooperation. And today we're going to talk about the skill of assertiveness, which is tied back into the powers that we've talked about before, and the power of attention, which is what we focus on, we get more of, right? And so the skill of assertiveness is about saying no and being heard, right? And it teaches our children respect for themselves and respect for others. And so as we look at it today, I've been thinking about what have I seen this week, in the classroom that has helped me to see this. And it's all over. I was thinking of a time that we didn't see this, for the good and for the bad, right? My teachers are still learning, and it's just interesting as we debrief that they'll as they talk about what's happening. I'm like, well, did you focus on what they needed to do? Did you focus on the positive? And they're like, well, not really. And I said, so what did you end up with? Well, they still went up the slide 3 and 4 times, right? And so I'm holding their personal management interviews this week, and one of the things that we talked about was, well, they just kept going up the slide. And I said, so what did you focus on? And she's like, I just kept telling them not to go up the slide. I said, but what did you want them to do? And she said, I wanted them to come inside. And I said, then you need to focus on that, right? We're done playing, step down from the slide, and it's time to go inside. Helping them recognize what's happening inside. So when you go inside, we need to wash our hands, we need to sit on the carpet because the teacher has this great activity that we're going to do. So focus on if we focus on what we want, we get more of that, right? And so it's all over our lives, right? When we start to look at it. I love the quote from the book where it said, fear focuses on what you don't want, and love focuses on what we do want, right? Because sometimes we're afraid and they're going to go up that slide again, and what am I going to do? But being able to focus on what we do want, right? I love the idea that the power of attention, if we have that, right, if we're focusing on what we want and we're getting more of it, then assertiveness comes pretty naturally for us, right? If we don't, then our limbic system that we talked about last week, it takes over, and then we end up being passive or we end up being aggressive, right? And we want to be assertive instead of passive and aggressive. And so as I was doing a little bit more reading this week and thinking about how it, what I've seen in the classroom that has manifested itself this week, we know some limits are easily broken, right? And we become very passive. And so as we think about that, we want our children to be assertive. Every interaction that we have with them, every conversation that we have with them, is modeling. And we've talked about that a couple of weeks ago and how powerful that is for children. And so as we think about passive parenting, right, it allows us to give in to the child. It allows us to break those limits that we have set for ourselves and for the children. And if we allow them to intrude on those limits, then we model to the children that it's okay for others to intrude upon them, right? So basically what we do is we end up creating a victim mentality if we are passive all the time with our kids. To the other side, right? If we're aggressive and we want to make our children, right? We want to make our children mind, then we teach them to hurt those that intrude upon them, right? You are going to do this. I said so, right? And we can create a bully with our modeling at that point. So we have to come to the middle ground, not passive, not aggressive, but assertive, right? And it teaches the value of respect for them, how to set limits without denigrating others or denigrating themselves, right? So that's our goal today, right? For the week is try to figure out, even in our relationships, because sometimes we do try to manipulate what's happening around us or manipulate who's around us, right? But if we can remember that fear focuses on what we don't want and love focuses on what we do want, then that's going to help us get back into our cortex, and we're going to get out of that limbic system that's trying to say to us, let's be passive, let's be aggressive. No, let's be assertive and teach the skill of respect for each other. Anyway, have a great weekend, and let's go assertiveness. Thanks for joining, everybody. If you feel like sharing it around, share it around, leave me a comment, we'll go from there. Thanks so much.